Welcome back to the Inspiration Station in your Everyday Edge podcast. I'm your host, Mr. U. This is where stories spark action. Wherever you are and however you're watching this show, wherever you are around the world, thanks for making us part of your week. We're live on LinkedIn right now, Facebook, and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/They Call Me Mr. U. As always, if you're watching this show anywhere where you can see us, and there's a comment section or a chat section under the episode. If you have a question for myself or my guest today, drop it inside the comment or in the chat. We're happy to answer those as they come through, as long as they're relevant to our conversation for today. So drop them in there, and we'll answer those as needed. But thanks again for making us part of your week. In studio with us today, hypnotherapist Craig Meriwether. He's a subconscious transformation expert, clinical hypnotherapist, sorry. And it's a specialist all around regarding anxiety, trauma, chronic stress, and other manners of subconscious issues. So Craig Meriwether's here. Craig,
hello.
Good to have you in the house. How are you, man?
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I had a little technical issues getting on, but I appreciate you waiting for me. And I'm looking forward to talking with you. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Same here, sir. While we do an inspiration station, we always emphasize the story because we only have a limit of about 15 minutes or so. We're going to emphasize the story, and then of course how the story helps spark action in those that are watching and listening either now live or on the replay. And you got a fantastic handful of strategies and tips. I want to definitely get into that. But real quick, man, I want to kind of hear you flesh out some of your story. I know that a lot of times people who are in the service world like you are, who are helping people overcome issues like trauma, stress, etc., you've probably been through something that kind of brought you to that place where it was highlighted as a need for you to help others. What was that story about?
Yeah, you've noticed that, right?
Yeah.
That's not unusual to my story. When I was growing up, especially my teenage years, I struggled a lot with depression and anxiety.
Oh, wow.
And this is 1980s. I graduated high school in 1985. So there's no internet, and there's no even those, SSRI drugs like Prozac and things like that.
Yeah, I remember this well.
Zoloft and things. Yeah, those didn't come out till the late 1990s, as did the internet. And so in the 80s, when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you're struggling with depression, anxiety. You don't know what it is. It's just you feel awful. And you see other people, they seem to be happy and carefree and having a good time. And you're not. And there's this kind of thing of, I guess I'm broken. I don't know what to do about it. Because back then, what did you have? The yellow pages?
And the white pages.
Phone book. Yeah, and the white, go through the phone book and find a talk therapist, whatever book you might find, at the library or the bookstore. You're 14, you're 15. You're not going to do that. You're not going to ask your friends at lunch what, psychotherapist they're seeing. And so it's just something I struggled with. And I sort of made little attempts to find help, but it was just, I don't think people understood, or maybe I didn't explain myself well, or they just say, life is hard kind of thing. And it was really, as I moved into the 90s, I moved into my 20s, and there's this kind of second wave, or maybe a third wave of the personal development movement, the self-help movement. And Tony Robbins became super popular, became a superstar with his book, like Awaken to Giant Within. And then Oprah kind of pivoted, and her show became more about personal responsibility and personal development and self-help kind of thing. And she became a superstar. And so this research is like, how can you make life better? And so I started reading the articles, and I started reading the books. And then the internet started slowly coming online with our 4 modems that took 15 hours to download a picture over the phone lines. And but we had these new things called blog posts, and you had forums and discussion groups, and Prozac was coming out. And so the conversation became safe. You could talk about this stuff. And you could talk with your doctor, you talk about your friends at parties. It's like, I'm depressed, I take Prozac. And people were more open about it. And so one thing that I noticed in the articles and magazines and books, like at the last chapter of a book, it'd always be, wow, now that you understand that you can be the best person you can be and you can be awesome, here are 5 things to change your life, or discussion groups or whatever. And so one thing that people kept talking about was hypnotherapy. And so it was like this way to access the subconscious, and that intrigued me, and that kind of resonated with me. And I felt comfortable because I wasn't too sure about medication and all that kind of stuff. And so I started using that. I found somebody I could work with, and I started doing some deep healing work, and kind of the slow drip to, pivoting later in life of wanting to become a hypnotherapist, move more into that healing space, like you talked about at the beginning. And this slow drip of like talking to you here today is like 40 years of being, dealing with my depression and anxiety, to finding relief and healing, and to, wanting to help other people in this way, because it fascinated me so much.
Yeah, that's definitely something. I remember all those old references you made. I'm like, yeah, I feel pretty old. So thanks for that, Craig.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is, I love your perspective. I think you may have a very unique perspective on this, just because of what you've gone through personally. I feel like we don't talk about self-awareness or the lack of it very much. I feel like it's an epidemic in our world. We got to a place now. I mean, now we're adding a cellular device to it now. So now you add this to a lack of self-awareness. People are walking around falling into sewer grates because all they see is their phone, have no idea who's around, and they're driving, looking at their phone, running into phones, running into people, talking and texting, and just having all of these physical mishaps because they add a distraction like a cell phone to a lack of self-awareness. Yeah. What do you believe about self-awareness being an epidemic? Do you agree with me? Do you think you're missing somewhere? Is it the cause of an unhealthy cycle? What do you think about that?
That's extraordinarily insightful. I think there's a extraordinary lack of self-awareness because we never sit with ourselves. Back in the day when you went to the doctor, you just sat in the waiting room and you sat with yourself. Maybe you watched the other people coming and going. Maybe you read the magazine that was 2 years old. You sat on the train, you sat on the bus, you sat at the red light in your car. You waited for class to start. You waited, you sat at lunch at work, and everybody else is off doing something else, and you're just kind of on your own. You sat with yourself. And so there's an extraordinary amount of self-awareness, or hopefully self-awareness. But like this is a good example. A little while ago, maybe about a year ago at this point, we have a little wine bar in town, and we met friends there. We hadn't seen them in quite a while, and so we wanted to catch up and hang out. So we went to this wine bar, and there's a square table, so we're all kind of facing the four directions at each other. We're talking, we're having a good time, we're catching up about life and family and parents getting older and all that kind of stuff, work. And this other group of 20-year-olds came in and sat at a table very near us. Same table, same kind of table, square table, facing each other in the four directions. But they all had their phones. Where's my phone? They're all doing this and drinking their wine, and doing this and not engaging in each other, even though they specifically went out to hang out with each other. They're all on their phones. Occasionally, one of them was like, "Hey, look at this," and then they go back on their phones. The entire time we were there talking with each other, and we're watching, I was like, what's going on with that? And they can't even engage with each other anymore, even though they're 2 feet away from each other. And it's not like it's, to a certain extent, let's say they're well, to a certain extent, they're hypnotized, I guess. There's such a need for that validation, maybe. I don't know why, and I don't understand it. It's beyond my grasp, maybe just because of my age, but I don't understand why that would be more important, looking on your phone when you have like your friends right in front of you. And maybe that's just a way they grew up, or but I don't, and that's got to be happening in class too, and people on their phones when you're trying to teach people stuff. And so if you don't have the bandwidth or the ability because of how you were trained, and I'm saying it's their fault to a certain extent, but if you don't have the bandwidth or the ability to even just engage in person with other people, how are you going to engage with yourself? Because you're constantly masking with what content you need to digest. And so there is, I think self-awareness has peaked, and we're on the downside of that.
Yeah.
And look at the problems in the world. I mean, and I know not the problems are actually created by the young people, but the young people maybe had were I don't know. I don't know what I wish I had a solution. I wish I could be I don't know,
You're doing
understand
great.
the
I mean,
situation enough, but
I'm
to
glad you
like
talk
say, well,
about it.
here's what we need to do. But I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. And it scares me because I have a 25-year-old. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
what to do. I don't know what to do. This is beyond my grasp of understanding. I don't know how to go over to a table of people and say, put your phones down and talk to each other. They're like, old man, go, what are they going to say to, they don't care. And I don't know how to make people care, and if they don't care about their friends and engaging with their friends that are right in front of them, how can they engage with themselves?
Yeah.
And
I'm a big believer in one part of what you said about, kind of sitting with your stuff.
Yeah.
We're so quick to react and to try to lash out or try to put a quick salve on whatever we're dealing with. And man, it's just not it. Sadly, and this is nothing to brag about because I'm not particularly proud of this, but I really feel like I learned that a lot later in life than I should have. I was in my late 40s before I figured it out, and that was a long time ago from now. And I feel like in my late 40s, I figured out that, you know what, I got to be way more, never yet late 40s, early 50s. I was like, I'm just figuring this out, just to be honest about it. And I'm like, all those years, I thought about my own stuff and not the impact it has on the world around me and my community, and learning how to not, try to just gloss over and dump stuff on top of my issues, but actually deal with that stuff. Take some time to sit with it and assess how I'm feeling. Because, honestly, we talk about this a lot about men's contents and podcasts. We talk about how men, don't learn how to process those feelings because being emotional or being in touch with our emotion was always seen as taboo, as a bad thing. So now I'm figuring, you know what, I can do that, but now I got to learn how to take the time, that hard charging A-type personality. You can't plow through everything.
Right.
I've done that before. I know many that have done the same as me. You can't plow through everything. You got to take the time to sit, like you just mentioned a little while ago, very astutely, and learn how to sit in this stuff and deal with it. Deal with the silence, deal with the feeling, deal with the voices, dealing with the arguments that you have in your mind. So, I mean, these are kind of things that I think the self-awareness argument is just huge. I know we kind of hijacked our own episode, but self-awareness is so huge, man. We can't get past it. But I got some comments coming through from some friends of ours. Hey, buddy, said that people constantly hide their problems with addictions. And there's another comment here where there's a few.
Yeah, phone, a big addiction is the phone. Yeah,
it's huge. Also, some issues with content, alcohol, using it as an escape to, from dealing with your feelings, like kind of how you said, not dealing with your feelings. And congratulations on
that's big. That's huge.
Your life and the addiction, man. That kind of stuff is what I love hearing about, because that's what this is really all about, man. So I know that people can't put their phones down because we've been talking about it. And they have no idea what's even going on around them. Even when they have the phone in their hand, they don't even know what's going on in the world, in the news around them. They hear little sound bites and little things like that, man. But I think that one of the things that I think maybe you could speak to this, because we're talking about transformation and kind of understanding your past experiences and dealing with the present situation, whether it be a confidence or self-esteem issue or decisions or relationships. What do you tell people who are watching and listening who are challenged with dealing with the past and facing that so that they can have the kind of future that they say they want to have? How do you help them? Do you help them? Can you encourage them today as they're watching and listening to our show?
Yeah. There are a lot of different techniques and tools in and of itself. Hypnotherapy is like an umbrella under which there's lots of different tools and techniques you can use, not like maybe surgery. Well, there's all sorts of different tools and techniques and types of surgery. And so hypnotherapy is kind of this umbrella term, but it's your ability to, as you have the ability to maybe block moving forward, procrastinate, keep yourself from success, because maybe in some aspect of it, it's dangerous to move forward in that way for whatever reason. Even though getting that report done on time or getting to work on time or sitting down and having that conversation about the relationship, maybe the best thing you can do, you may be preventing yourself from doing that. And so that is a form of hypnosis. You've hypnotized yourself to maybe move away from something dangerous, only your subconscious mind is deeming this very productive thing that may help you in life as dangerous for some reason. Now, is that information correct? May not be. But you're the one who's kind of preventing yourself. Now, maybe due to something that happened in the past, maybe something somebody told you, maybe, when you were a kid, a relative, a parent, maybe a teacher said, well, you'll never amount to anything.
Wow.
And if you took that seriously, that may inform your life. Well, if you can't amount to anything, you certainly can't get that report done on time. And so you have hypnotized yourself to a certain extent, unconsciously, maybe as a child, with this computer code, if you will, these instructions on how to move through life. Well, change the instructions. And I don't mean to make it sound so simple and easy, but sometimes it's that simple and easy. There may be some healing work that needs to be done, but hypnotherapy is not talk therapy. We're not using the conscious level of mind. We're using the subconscious, where a lot of that hurt and pain and instructions on how to protect yourself are held unconscious behind that veil. So by kind of quieting down that conscious level of mind, access the subconscious. It's your mind. And while it may be mysterious because it's that unconscious part, and we don't know how the mind knows to take a one-day-old baby to that of an adult, or grow hair and fix a cut on the finger, or somebody has a broken leg, actually, fuse the bones together, digest food. How does it know how to do all this? That's the unconscious part of mind. So it's so extraordinary and powerful. So imagine when you give it permission to heal in the ways that you need and want. And you might even know the ways you need and want, but your subconscious mind does, because it's been holding on to that hurt and pain. And you're talking about, getting into this kind of stuff maybe later in life. And I think that's just the way it is. I think it's maybe relatively recently that people who are 16 or 17 are making millions of dollars by doing content on the internet. And now we say, well, if you're not a millionaire by 20, then you're a failure. It's like you used to just take time to really understand life and have that self-awareness. I work with people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Rarely do I work with people in their 20s. I do occasionally here and there, and a teenager here and there. But it's really with that, again, we're going to come back to self-awareness. It's that awareness that, there's something off, there's something not right, or I'm not living my best life. And with what I've understand about life and maybe these different forms of therapy and help, I think maybe diving more into the patterns of my subconscious mind may be helpful. Yeah. So at 40, 50, 60 years old, people are coming and deciding, it's time to create an even better life because you have more experience, and I don't think as an 18, 20-year-old, having lived life on your phone and computer and video games, that you really understand the deeper aspects of life and family and failure and success. Yeah. And I think as you get it later in life, it's like, okay, I've been beat down. I've had great success. I've climbed the mountains. I've fell down into the valleys. It's like, what do I need to do to brush myself off, restore, reset, reboot myself, and create a great second act?
Yeah. There was a comment coming from our friend. He said that he took his last income report, I guess I don't know what the year span is. See that 25-year span, I guess. He made $1 million in wages.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary.
I feel like we're gonna end the show with the mindset about self-awareness, because and being present and being and assessing what, because there's so many of us that, and this is not really regarding the comment, but just as an aside that makes that connects with that. We got so many things that we should be grateful for and thankful for. So many things that we actually have, but we complain so much about what we don't have. And we overemphasize what we don't have. And people who are, especially young people, our younger generation, we got adult daughters and young grandchildren now. We hear that from the younger generation. They complain about, even on social media, you can't turn your social media on or log into it and not see it. It's constant. You know what I'm saying? It's like people are complaining about what they don't have and like, oh, what you do have. So emphasizing gratefulness. And I love what you said about sitting in what you're dealing with and just being present in that. Can you give us really quickly, maybe in the last 2 minutes, kind of just share what's on your heart regarding that for the listeners and viewers today? And then after you're done, we'll go ahead and close the show out.
Yeah. I think it's important to sit with yourself, like we've been talking about, because if you're masking it through even the, doom scrolling and hate and anger that you're going through by seeing what's going on in the world, they're doing that on purpose because they know they'll keep your eyes on that app, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or something else. They know they can keep your eyes there longer with the hate and the anger than they can. If you watch puppies and babies laughing and the wondrousness of the universe and all that, at a inspirational quote, then you're going to get off that thing because you filled up your tank. Right? But if you're constantly draining your energy, you're going to, well, maybe if I finally find that 1 minute video, I'll get that dopamine hit, and then you're going to want another dopamine hit. They know what they're doing. And so if we used to have so much time to just be bored, and I heard it wonderfully by somebody, now I forget, and I wish I could tag them for this great quote, but they were saying, when you and I were growing up, the main, the prominent emotional state was boredom for you and me growing up in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. But now it's anxiety. And that's what the younger generation is dealing with. And I can't imagine what that is like. I can in a sense, but my situation was a little bit different and it was very personal and very unique to me in terms of an entire generation. Dealing with that is pretty extraordinary. And I think if people, again, have that self-awareness, we keep coming back to that. And that was a brilliant observation that you had. If you just spend some time every day, and it may seem silly to think about gratitude and what you're happy about, but what you practice, you get better at. And that's great if you're learning martial arts or dance or the guitar or learning to walk as a kid or something. But what if you're practicing anger and hate and anxiety and fear? Are you not literally wiring that into your brain? So what if you tried something different? Because if you're not happy with your life and you're not, if you're 18 or 19 or 20 years old and aren't a millionaire yet and thinking badly about yourself, it's like, well, maybe it's time to start something different. Where's that great quote? You can't fix a problem. Is it Albert Einstein? You can't fix a problem from the consciousness that created it. You have to think anew. It's like, you got to do something different.
That's good, man. It's good. Yeah. If folks know where they can find your work, Craig, thanks again for being here and being a part of the conversation. Where can they find you?
Yeah. Best place to go is the website, releasethepast.com. You can find out more about me. If you want to get on a consultation call or an email, I'm happy to talk more one-on-one about this kind of work and what you're interested in. And there's lots of information, free ebook, The Power Behind Your Beliefs, talks more about this kind of stuff of healing the subconscious mind. And I'll send that all to you. You can put it somewhere in the show notes or something, but releasethepast.com is how you find me.
I love it, man. Thanks again for being a part of this, Craig. For those guys that are listening but not watching us, you can get Craig and his work at releasethepast.com. Releasethepast.com. Hypnotherapist Craig Meriwether is with us. Thanks for being a part of this conversation, sir. And talking about all the things that I know we I got to show, but I think it was worth it. Thanks for being a part of this. That's Craig Meriwether. Thanks for all of our guests and our listeners, our guests and all of our listeners who have been tuning in. We're going to catch us on replay. Drop your questions in the chat. I think Craig's going to follow me on all the social medias that he uses to make sure he catches all your questions that come through. But thanks again, JB. Thanks again for being a part of it in the comment section. You've been holding it down, brother. Love you so much. Appreciate it, man. And we hope to hear back from you guys soon. This is the Inspiration Station where stories spark action. Have a great day. That's Craig Meriwether. I'm Mr. U. We're out. Thanks.